Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Timist Podcast Series. My name is James, and I am the Timist and the host of the thing you're currently listening to. In this episode, Connor and I continue the conversation with the one and only Kelly Yoch. This is part 2. We kick things off with the famous toothpick incident, the one that managed to ruffle feathers at none other than Patek Philippe. From there, we dive into a rich discussion on natural talent versus learned skill, especially when it comes to people management in high-end luxury. Of course, since we're talking watches, the topic of investment versus passion and depreciation had to be explored. But we also learn how Kelly navigates conversations with clients who sometimes prioritize profits rather than craftsmanship. We also explore the gender gap in the watch world and hear a touching story about her grandfather and the very personal and heartfelt reason behind her choice on what she drives today. To close things out, Kelly shares how she continues to learn within the horological space and offers advice to both newcomers and seasoned watch collectors alike. All this and so much more. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a snack as we get started. What's the story behind the toothpick?
So, Patek was very angry about that. That wasn't funny.
No, because I'm sorry, but once I did some research and I found out about it, I was like, this is going to be great. And now you say that Patek was like, not so much.
No, we don't find that funny at all. So, the time that we were at the Patek salon, we are very proud of the work we did there. We're very proud of that salon. We were very proud of the business we did. And I had some boys that I took care of. And I say that because I used to say that they were my boys. I still to this day, I love them so much. And they are very important in my life. And we were at breakfast. And I had to get to work. We had an event the night before. The following morning, I got up really early. I met 3 or 4 of them at breakfast in the morning, and then I went to work. And we had bacon or, something really delicious for breakfast. And I remember getting to the salon. I was like, I think there's something stuck in my, So I used a toothpick and I was holding the toothpick, and the client friend boy that, that was with me, he says, "Can I have that for a second?" And I was like, yeah. And he's like, make a funny face. And I posed with a stupid face or whatever. He put it on eBay. And he put a whole description of Kelly Yoch was having bacon and blah, 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 blah. It went viral. And my current boss, by the way, who I have known for a long time, my current boss was the highest bidder.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it got to Patek, and Patek was disgusted. They were like, "Are you insane? What is?" I'm like, first of all, I didn't do this. Do you think I would do this? I didn't do this. I can't control the people I take care of. I'm like, I just, I didn't do this. So of course it had to be taken down, and it was completely distasteful and, whatever. So yeah, I got into a lot of trouble, even though I'm not the one that did it. So
you're the victim here. Wow.
I was the total victim. And to this day, I am the one that constantly cleans everything up, but somehow I'm the one that gets in trouble for it all the time.
This is one thing from toothpicks.
This is one thing you didn't ask for, but you received.
Yep. And it was bad. It was bad.
I'm so sorry. I just want to be like a fly on the wall in the Patek boardroom when they're like, yeah, so this happened. What is this?
Yeah. What is this? What? Ew. And first of all, why is she so popular? What is going on? Has anyone heard her? She gives her opinion. She tells people off. She's completely out of the box. What? How did she become the person? How did this happen? And I'm like, I didn't ask for that. Thank you very much. I don't know what happened. I'm just sitting back going, I don't know.
I love it so much, Connor. I want to give you the mic for a sec, but before that, I want to say you're kind of famous for telling people that they are making a dumb mistake. And your like interaction with customers, clients, I'm getting the sensation like you make a connection, you make a bond, and you don't treat them as though they are like a cookie cutter sort of situation. And you know who you can afford to do that with, and you know who to hold that back with. But it's kind of funny how stories have popped up. Like, yeah, I mean, straight up to his face said, "You're an idiot." Like, why would you do that? Like, how is that? That is a gift, right? That is something that I think you kind of foster and grow over time. But you know who you can do that with and who you can't. But maybe anyone that's listening that might be into sales or might be in this sort of arena might want to have that kind of skill or ability. Is it natural talent or is it something you can foster over time?
No, it's natural. It's not you because I've genuinely tried to teach what I do for a living, and you can't. You either have it or you don't. Like I genuinely feel like Connor, for example, Connor would be someone I could just tell, like on this podcast, like I would be able to walk into a store and feel very comfortable with. I'm really, really great at first impressions, and Connor is inviting. He's warm. I think he can crack a joke or few. You know what I mean? Like I think, and it's like, first and foremost, I look at this too is you understand that what we do is just selling watches. Like we're not saving babies, and we're not like, finding the real reason that the world is ending. And like, we're not doing any of that. Okay. Like we get to sell watches. Okay. And like, that's something that, we're privileged to be in this luxury industry, whether we're selling, swatches, Moser, Arnold and Son, Grand Seiko, Patek, Rolex, it doesn't matter. Like we get to do that. You know what I mean? So if you can't take yourself, lightly, then you're not the customer for me. And I would actually just TO you or turn you over to someone else. It takes a lot of courage to understand that you're not going to make that connection. And that's a big thing, because a lot of salespeople, what happens is they get their egos like bruised because someone complained about them. Well, you weren't in the moment. You didn't understand that they weren't for you.
They weren't your person.
No. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, listen, I've only been with Altiera since October, and I've already had someone that I failed them. I failed them. And it's not okay, but it's okay. Like I made a mistake. I owned up to it immediately. Told my boss, I failed at this. Help me fix it. What can I do? And my boss was even like, what? Like, you what? And I'm like, I let this guy down. I gave him a time frame. The manufacturer didn't stick to it. I didn't inform him. I ruined his holiday. And my boss was like, I've never had anyone like admit that. So like we're going to need to back up. Like what, but it's true. It really upset me. It really upset me because, you think you're impervious. You're not, because you're a human. You're still a human. And humans let humans down. You know what I mean? That happens. And, we do everything to try and stop that before it happens, but it can happen. And it's okay. You move on and you learn from the mistake and you just don't do it again. But you have to be in the moment and understand that maybe that person wasn't even for me anyway. Like maybe like I tried so hard and I wasn't vibing with him and like, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's part of experience. It's part of that mileage that you gain in life where you understand that you can't win everything. And I know we know the sayings that we're all perfectly imperfect, but until you kind of experience it on your own skin and you understand that there are some scenarios that it's a no-win situation for you, and that you should extract the goodness and the lesson out of that situation as much as you can and then move on. If you say that to someone early on in their career, they hear your words. They understand what you're saying. it just won't stick because they know better. And we've all been in the spot in our lives where someone that had more experience than us sat us down and said, Kelly, Connor, James, I've been here. And our instant, I'm there right now. Instantly, my brain's like, no, you haven't. You don't know me. I know better.
Yeah.
But I'll still listen. I'll listen, sure. And then I'm like, but I'm still going to do it my way. Right. Life teaches you with mileage. It gives you that experience to understand that sometimes you can't win, and it's okay as long as you walk away with some experience gain to know that now you have an additional data point of how not to interact, how not to do that one scenario. Do it differently. Try something else.
Exactly.
Connor, I'll throw it to you. Anything that you want to talk about?
I think especially working in a retail environment when there's a lot of brands and a lot of brand price ranges, I think you meet a lot of people who are, I guess, like newer to the collecting world, and by especially mean like kind of the post 2019 like huge glut of people who are, maybe I could use a kinder word to describe them, a large amount of people who have really become interested and fascinated with watches and brands, and a lot of the time they're seeing things for the first time or trying on stuff they've never seen before, and it's very exciting and it's very cool. I notice frequently a lot of the dialogue and buzzwords that those people are frequently running through are things like appreciation and losing value and secondary market. And they'll usually follow it up with, but I have no intention of selling this item. But it's certainly become ingrained into them, I feel, that it's no longer like, do I want this Tudor Black Bay 58? Is this the right watch for me? Am I comfortable spending this amount? Do I like the large Santos in steel, or would the medium be better? And what kind of leather? It's more like, oh man, this is a great watch. It's so iconic. It's so beautiful. But man, like it trades for, you lose 30% out the door. Oh, you're selling the watch? No, I would never sell the watch. So these terms, this like value proposition of your piece is become so central, I feel like, to like a confidence in spending, right? Which leads you down the path of like, okay, fair. Then the only watches worth buying are the ones that are incredibly rare and incredibly popular, right? You should only buy Daytonas and Nautilus and Grand Complications because otherwise you lose money. What's like your approach? What's your thought behind that? In that, like, sure, it's relevant to people, but like, do you want the watch? Like, is this a good watch for you, man? Have you considered that?
I for the longest time, if someone actually used the word investment, I would physically shut down in front of them like a robot, like like just like I couldn't have the discussion. I couldn't remotely think that way. I just couldn't, because I look at my own things and I think to myself, like, this is worth 3 cents, but I love it because it's yellow or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I still can't look at luxury as an investment. I can't. Okay. Everyone does. Everyone thinks it's the right thing to do. Everyone, only like, I have a friend that wears stacks of, Cartier Love bangles. She's walking around with $40,000-$50,000 on her wrist. I personally don't understand how someone wants what everyone has and everyone covets. I am that person that buys the dead opposite of an investment. Okay. Because from the time I was a kid, when designer jeans were a thing in the 80s, I didn't own a pair because I didn't want them. I didn't own a pair of Uggs. I never owned a fad. You know what I mean? Because that's not my mentality. Is if everyone wants it, I don't subscribe to those feelings. But I had to understand and I had to open my own mind up that that's how most people think. I mean, like Kelly, stop being arrogant about your own thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, it was like I needed to really open my mind and understand that let's use 75% of the people coming in were buying a Patek Philippe because it was a Patek Philippe with a stamp on it, with a Tiffany stamp on it. Mm. Did they really honestly, genuinely care about it? Did I have those collectors that 100% cared? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I won't deny them of that. You know what I mean? But like when you really sit back and think about the whole investment thing, yeah, good for you. Good for you. I've never made $1 on anything I bought. So like, I just, it's not how I shop. So, but I have to understand that most people do. So the investment conversation and I just like, we don't get along very well. But I do understand that if it comes down to 2 watches and it is contingent upon that question and that question alone, then I will guide you the right way. Just understand that I have no passion behind what I'm saying. It comes down to, you want a genuine answer from me, I'm going to give it to you.
Sure.
It feels like there's a threshold that, from my perspective, is filtered through the sentiment of passion. If you pursue certain watches out of passion because you love it, it changes your entire sort of perspective versus how little can I lose on this watch. Now, I think this is a concept that is difficult to impart to the people that only want to pursue things because they want to lose the least amount of money. And defining what joy we as individuals can extract out of an object is so centralized to who we are that me explaining to you why I extract joy out of this specific thing is just built out of these individual Lego pieces that are just specific to me. Yeah. Now there's like 8 billion of us on planet Earth, and we will find people that have this same Lego pieces by and large and be like, I too agree with you 100%. But it kind of takes some of the joy, some of the wind out of your sails, some of that momentum and smile that you feel being in this world, in this hobby, in this industry, when you hear, I'm sorry, but you're boiling it down to just how much money you can either make by flipping it or not lose when you inevitably sell it.
Yep.
So there's tiers to it as I understand it, but you two see so much more of it on a day by day. And as like a car nut and a watch nerd and an aviation fan and all these things that make me who I am, that I enjoy, I can relate when someone's like, "Oh, I like that car." And I'm like excited. Yes, me too. Tell me about it. Like, well, it's really hard to get, and there's like a wait list, and I drive it for, by my calculations, for 6 months, and if I put less than 3,000 miles on it, I can flip it. And then I'm like, "Oh, you're not my people. I can't have a conversation with you. You do like that car. It's true. I can tell you like it, but not for the same reasons that I like it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that moment, again, not elitist, not uppity, but it's not like the core of why, the reason behind it is not the same. And we would not have the same conversation other than that we are talking about this Porsche 911 GT3 RS. That is the common denominator. Everything else that we'd be discussing, different worlds.
100%.
I truly believe that whatever your reason for wanting to own thing, that's good enough, right? Like there's not a proof or this person deserves this because of this reason or this person deserves that because of that reason. Like everyone deserves the thing, but it's just like it almost feels like almost like distasteful because we're not really talking about like this watch that you're gonna have a cool time with and a good story with and it's gonna go with you to these places. It's just like money. It's just a percentage chart that you're like, whew, I'm up 5% today. Like, great day in owning the Speedmaster. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? You should just want that watch. Like, and if it does increase in value or it gets discontinued or whatever the heck happens, like that's awesome and that's a cool thing to appreciate. But like, I wouldn't want my challenge is in my mind, it's people who are getting into the hobby with that mindset.
Mhm.
Don't get into watches because you could make money, right? I mean, sure, whatever. Again, you can, but get into it because you want to own and wear and enjoy this piece. That should be your reason and justification. And anything else, terrific. But like, just just tell me you like the movement. Tell me you like the look of the dial. Tell me it feels good on your wrist. That's a good watch. Who cares if it's not going to resell for more money? It's like I'm selling it in the case. Why would anyone pay more than that? Get
Right.
out of here.
Right.
As I
And
listen to both of you, I would say in those specific cases, I don't know if that person's hobby or passion is the object. It sounds like their passion and hobby is either making money or losing as little money as they possibly can. Not necessarily the things themselves, but it's like my hobby is to, yeah, buy a watch at a great price and then have it depreciate as little as possible. It sounds like that is your hobby, the saving the money bit.
I don't have anyone in the store who's good about talking like that. Oh, let me go get that guy. I'm gonna TO you to the guy
true.
who
It's like,
watch
I don't,
charts and can just tell you about the history of the S&P over the last 10 years or whatever.
mhm.
I love it. Thank you both for sharing these perspectives. I think it's eye-opening for a lot of listeners and viewers, and I think it's going to help folks sort of recontextualize how they think about these sorts of things, hopefully, or maybe not. But I want to jump on something else that kind of ties into the demographics of the hobby a bit. Kelly, by your own metrics, roughly, you'd say maybe 90% of your clients are male. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why is, and we talked about cars, we talked about planes, we talked about like all the reasons why, sometimes we kind of have these recurring sort of themes as collecting sunglasses and all that good stuff. Why do you think so much of the general demographic for watch collecting is male?
How many women do you know that collect?
Well, because of Instagram, not nearly as many as the guys. But that's sort of the follow-up question is, let's say it's 90-10.
Yeah.
Why is it that so many men like watches or are into watches? And why is it that most women get ferried over to the gemstone encrusted Cartier case? Is it does it tie back to the 73-year-old that you had mentioned earlier, where it's like, oh well, women like small, tiny, shiny, sparkly things, and men like, the 90s Breitlings that are like 48 mil and can be used as a weapon. What
So,
is
I mean,
what is your take?
listen, I'm part of a woman's chat. I'm part of, a couple of chats where there's, one or two women in the chat, and then there's, all females. Um, the fact is, it's just a fact. Why do most women collect handbags?
Mm-hmm,
Why
mm-hmm,
do most women collect, sunglasses? Or I'm thinking of accessories,
mm-hmm,
something
mm-hmm.
that's maybe a little bit more common. But the fact is, it's because um, men don't have a ton of things. Okay. So think of men's accessories. Okay. There's not a ton. Let's talk about a women's accessories: clothing, shoes, handbags, jewelry, sunglasses. Like, we can go on and on and on, because women love to look nice. They makeup, you know what I mean? Like, there's categorically, there's just more stuff that women, I think, have, considered luxuries in their life. And a watch was sort of like over
Mm-hmm.
here. It wasn't the thing that your mom taught you growing up. When mom dresses her little girl, she puts her in a beautiful outfit of some kind. She puts a bow in her hair. She categorically, you know what I mean? Like, this is something that, like, what did we learn growing up? Well, I learned that your shoes had to match, and you had to have a beautiful outfit on Easter Sunday and with the matching hat and coat. You had to have your handbag match your shoes. Your belt typically matched, your shoes. You had to have matching socks on. You had to, like, it was about putting together an outfit, and it was about, like, what kind of makeup are you going to wear? What does the handbag look like? What are your bracelets? Like, are you going to wear earrings? Are you going to wear, it never was, what kind of watch are you going to wear? Mm-hmm. A little girl didn't learn that per se. Okay. If I had a child, the child would have learned that, because it's what I would have instilled in the child. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that, the child could then grow up and be like, mom always made me wear a watch. Like, I hate the watch. Like, I don't want to have a watch. No. Right. But, like, I think it's what we're instilled, and what we're sort of
exposed to.
Yeah. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I just think it's a thing. It's something that, and again, I'm speaking also as a 53-year-old woman. Okay. Like, today, a 30-year-old could be raising their child completely different and exposing them to way more. And yes, that is going on, but I'm talking about in the 70s, in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, yeah. So I'm speaking from my point of view. Do I think that that's necessarily true today? No, I don't. I have, my best friend has a 14-year-old daughter, and I have already given her watches. I've given her watches from my Swatch collection, and I've given those to her, and I've given her the ones that I feel that would be kind of fun to play with when putting together an outfit. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So again, I am not going to attack a 13-year-old daughter or child or anything from the standpoint of a technical standpoint. At that point, it's going to be, hey, babe, when you're putting together an outfit, make sure you wear your watch. Mom loves to wear a watch. Put your watch on. Like, this would be kind of fun. Maybe we can match. You know what I mean? Like, but categorically, for the longest time, it just wasn't a thing that moms spoke to daughters about.
Totally fair. And thank you for your perspective. I just now am imagining a scenario where the phrases that are, that's where you're going to pair your spring drive with.
I mean, that's not a thing. That's not
Italian shoes and a Japanese watch. Really?
Come on.
Like, can you believe that child went to put on her Tag Heuer? I mean, we're going to a nice restaurant. It's like, these are not conversations that go on. Okay. Like, that's not a thing. Right. But today I think it is different. And, they're always, listen, I know the women that grew up being daddy's girls. I knew those women, that did, they're very few and far between is all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Do they exist? Yeah, they exist. My grandmother was the first person to give me a watch. So I associate that with my grandmother, and my grandmother said to me, a lady is always on time. So, I had a little bit of that. And that's a phrase that stuck with me, the same reason I have the car that I have.
Well, do tell us a little bit about that, because I'm a car nut, and Connor is as well. So tell us a bit about your car then.
So my grandfather and I had a very tight relationship. I was the eldest grandchild, and the next one behind me was my brother, 6.5 years behind me. So I had a very close connection with my grandparents. And my grandfather, my grandfather worked 3 jobs when his girls were growing up, and he made sure that my mother and my aunt had everything that they could possibly want. And he was a hardworking man. And when he and I would go for walks, he would stop dead in his tracks, and he would point to a Cadillac, and he would say to me, hey kid, or hey, he called me Kellyanne. He said, hey, Kellyanne, when you've made it, you buy a Cadillac. That's what you buy. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'd be like 6 or 7 going, okay, Pop, like whatever. Like, I don't even know why we're talking about this, but okay. Mm-hmm. But Cadillac was very important to him as a Sicilian dude that worked in Philly, that had 3 jobs, you know what I mean? Like doing everything he could to make sure that food was on the table. Cadillac was a symbol to him of success, of money, of importance. Okay. And so my grandfather, when I was 13, dropped dead actually on our vacation. And I came to find out, I believe that he had a deposit on a Cadillac.
Wow.
And when I turned 50, it was very important to me that I lived out that dream for him. Mm. And so I went to the Cadillac dealership and I put, I had some savings and I put down a chunk of money so that I could lease a Cadillac. Because to me, at 50, it was a milestone. It was, I was very comfortable in my career at that point. And I just felt that it was like someone sort of needs to live out this dream and make it whole and make it complete. In the glove compartment of my Cadillac, I keep a piece of my grandfather. I keep a pocket watch of his. It was, it's literally so rusted and gross and steel and nasty and kind of cool all at the same time. And I keep that in the glove compartment because I want him to experience driving a Cadillac every day.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are you doing to me right now?
I don't feel that everything in life should have those stories, but man, you better have 1 or 2 of them that are that important to you, because that's what life's about. And that should be, again, the only things that make life important. And, when you trust me when I tell you guys, because I know you guys are a lot younger than I am. When it comes around and you sort of hit like, that certain stage in life, and whether it's 50, whether it's 60, whether it's 40, you really revert back to like what's really important. And I've watched friends do that because I am right in the middle age-wise of my closest friends. I have friends that are much older and I have friends that are much younger. And I've watched even the much older ones have that aha moment. And it's awesome. It's really, it's awesome to watch somebody go through that, because I did. And I thought, I'd make one of those tearful damn videos that people do. Like, I want to remember. And I started to do it with my Cadillac when I picked it up that day. And then I was like, you know what? That's not for everybody. That's for me. That moment in time is for me. That's not for everybody. Screw that. That's not for me. My tattoos are for me. That's why you don't see them. They're in places that, that are for me and me alone. And it's, I believe in keeping, like, social media has been an awesome thing. And it's been a really unbelievably horrible thing, because it's like, why are you telling us all of this? Like, do you have no sense of like anything kind of being private? And I do believe that we all deserve those really private things that we hold, close to our hearts. And when you're having a discussion and you open up to someone and you share those things, it's powerful. It's really powerful. And it's important. But yeah, I think everybody should have that like item, that thing, that connection to your past, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
that's, that's really important and that makes you the human that you are today.
Beautifully said and wonderfully put. I was not expecting to get emotional today, and definitely not during this podcast, but thank you for sharing. This is not the time or the place to share my story, but my grandparents raised me, and so
Mm.
that's something that I connect with deeply. So thank you
Yep.
for sharing, and thank you for feeling comfortable enough to impart with us and with our viewers and listeners.
This would be the right place to do that because we're talking about passion and we're talking about um, customer relations and we're talking about like, what connects you to people. And moments connect you to people, having moments with people. And then, 5 years later going like, hey man, do you remember when you walked in and like, this happened? And like, and we like can laugh and joke. Oh man, do I have those connections with clients that we still to this day crack up laughing, you know what I mean? Or have that moment of silence or have that moment of like, dude, that was so cool. Like, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like but like having those special moments together. And, it's why my best friend is so important to me as a woman. She and I were at rock bottom when we moved in together. And I say rock bottom financially. We were hurting. I mean, it was bad, and we were eating, the rice and the ramen and the grilled cheese sandwiches, which by the way, she makes a killer grilled cheese sandwich, just saying. But I mean, when you reflect back, and that's even what I think bonds, friends together. I mean, we have moments that we sit to this day over 20 years of friendship and we roll laughing. Like you roll or you cry together or you whatever, but like, I mean, and even when it's tragic and you're
Yeah.
rolling laughing because you could like say, man, did I learn a lesson from that? But like, yeah, we roll laughing because that's what again makes us human experiences, and that's what can tie together, customers or that me factor or, whatever, when you have those moments together, like with your clientele even.
Trauma bonding or having your friends or your relatives or really just people that you know in the trenches with you in
Yeah.
the I call it the suck. Um, in the moment, in that exact moment in time, it's not funny. It's not cool. It sucks.
Yeah.
And we've all been there, right?
Oh
At
yeah.
some point in life in different categories, different scenarios, but looking back 5, 10, 15, 20 years later to go, remember that? That was wild, wasn't it? Remember that? Do you want to go back and have like a grilled cheese sandwich now to relive that trauma bonding that we did together? And it doesn't always have to be, sad or rough, right? Like Connor and I met through watches, and that's kind of what brought us together. And I'll send you the video that I put together with the Grail piece that I wanted for a very, very long time, a watch that I've dreamed about, and it not the time
Love
right now.
that.
I'll send it later. But it's so true that the people that stick with you and have carved a special nook in your heart are the people that usually have been with you through times that were not the showcase, not the highlight of whatever thing, right? It was in the dreary, darker moments of our lives where they were with us. And yeah, again, in the moment, it wasn't funny. It wasn't fun.
I have a client that I can actually attribute a lot to in the fact that he kept me at my job. He came to me at a time in my life where I wanted to walk away from all of it.
Mm.
And this guy, it's as if somebody from above literally said, like, no, you're good at what you do. Here's this guy, because this guy is going to absolutely make you understand what passion is about. To this day, he is one of my absolute best friends, and no one makes me laugh harder. And in 2017, when I met him for the first time, I actually did like a 180 and I was like, this guy is going to definitely mean a lot to me. I don't know how, but he's going to, and like he kept me there. He kept me at Tiffany when I wanted to walk away from all of it. And he kept me there because his passion was new, it was fresh, it was interesting, it was from a different perspective. He was young, and he like actually he like came into my life when I needed it.
It became like
And
a anchor being of sorts.
yeah, and like to this day, he's one of my best friends. I love him. I love him dearly. Um, his wife has even said to me a couple of times, like, "Why are you friends with him?" I'm like, I know. I don't get it either. I really don't. Yeah, he's got problems, issues. But I'm here for it for some reason, and I don't know why.
Love it.
I love him. I just want you to know that. And she's like, "Yeah, I don't get this." I'm like, yeah, I know. What can I say?
Amazing.
They're both looking at each other. This is weird, right? Yeah, it's kind of weird, but like
Yeah.
we don't get it. Do
Like,
you get it? No.
do you get it? No, I don't get it. I hate you. No, you don't. Okay.
So good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Connor, I throw it to you, Connor.
I've always been curious with both like vintage watches as well as just like watches that exist in extremely small numbers, right? Like, crazy master complication things that only a few of are made of. How are you, or what's your approach to like learn about them and study them? Like I've always been so interested, like, oh, someone can recognize a vintage piece from the 1960s that they've never seen before, or that very few people have seen before. Like, are you just hitting the books? Is there, supplied training, or, is it just intuitive gifts?
I have recognized in my own tastes, and it's so weird. Okay. I am drawn to watches from like the worst period ever, the 80s. I am drawn to them. I love them. I don't care what people think. Like I love me some 80s watches. I love the 90s, and for some reason like when something comes across, I first of all I love vintage. Don't get like I love vintage. I really do. In fact, I would take a vintage watch over a new watch any day. I love shaped watches.
Hmm.
So I think when you're interested in something that is as simple as shaped watches, you go down the rabbit hole.
Hmm.
Okay. So this like Audemars Piguet from the 70s is like this real funky, like oval type shape. Like, I wonder why they made this. And you look that up and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, look at Gilbert Albert from Patek Philippe. Like, who doesn't want one of those? That's a name. Go look it up. Trust me, you'll want one. I mean, it's like, then you fall down rabbit holes because, I think with a hobby, if somebody mentioned a Porsche, James, that you didn't know, the first thing you're gonna do is like, okay, I'm gonna search that. It's when you're in it, you find the niche in which you're in it. You know what I mean? And like you start to like then go down the rabbit hole. And like for me, I would wear nothing but shaped watches if I could. I mean, I love something, like funky and cool, or think about a Hamilton Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love that. You know what I mean? Like I'm and that's as basic as like I can think of right now. But I love Cartier. I mean, again, Cartier, it's one of my favorite brands for that reason. I mean, look at the shapes that they've produced when you go down the rabbit hole. And the most famous being the crash. But I mean, again, the story behind it, Cartier happens to tell some of the best stories ever. They really just do. The stories that go with their watches are phenomenal. But, Vacheron, Audemars, like they've all made these like great. So I think you just sort of like fall into, what your passion is. And then there's like that 1A. So like, okay, so your passion is watches, but like, what's your real like niche with that? You know what I mean? And like you like hone in like all of that. So when it comes to like complications, like I'll give you two brands that, right now, Watches and Wonders is going to, they've already sort of hit Arnold and Son has done something phenomenal with a throwback to Breguet, which is very special, very special. Okay. And they're going to release at Watches and Wonders. You'll see the versions of this. Beauvais just dropped something. They've worked on a movement literally for 6 years. 6 years. Jeez. You have to value these companies and the research and the things they put in. And so, at Watches of Switzerland, please understand where I'm coming from. This isn't from arrogance. The brands were dying to get in front of me because they knew that my history was Patek Philippe. So a lot of these brands sat me down or wanted to sit me down to show me, did you know that we're making 1,000 watches a year? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I want to hear more. Mm-hmm. I sat down with every brand that I could suck the energy and suck the information from, because I was fascinated with all of these independents that were making these watches that I knew nothing about. So even just 3 years ago, my passion even was tweaked more, because it's a constant learning process. So now, the brands that I'm in love with are not the brands that I was in love with 5 years ago. I've even honed that. I happen to be a huge Arnold and Son fangirl. I happen to be a huge Beauvais fangirl. And again, everyone's like, a lot of people are like, I don't get it. The ones who get it, get it. You know what I mean? But I invite people to sit down and actually read, take a look. I'm a big Grand Seiko fan because I'm the person that I have $10,000 to spend. What can I buy for $10,000 that is like the Mac Daddy of all watches? Grand Seiko, in my opinion, gives you the best value under 10 grand that you can buy in the market from a technical aspect. I am a big fan of Ulysse Nardin. I think that they are at the top of their game. Listen, they're winning GPHG awards. I mean, obviously, the brands that I'm mentioning, they have all won GPHG awards. You don't just win those awards because, they're winning awards for reasons. And UN, a huge fan. Beauvais for many reasons, Arnold and Son, many reasons, Grand Seiko, all these reasons, but I do invite people to sort of step back from the Patek and Rolexes of the world if you're interested in watchmaking, and actually read these articles, look at the product. Watches and Wonders for me is now fun because I've been tuned into what all these other brands are doing. So, I try to really at the point of sale, get people interested in what I'm interested in by saying, if you like this moon phase, look at these brands that do moon phases in really awesome ways. Again, I so get off topic. Sometimes I apologize, but
no, that's great. It's perfect. It's important to remind folks that after the glitz and the spotlight that they get bombarded with when they enter this arena, there are different areas, different worlds, right? You have your unsung heroes, you have the vintage market, you have the independents, you have the small niche, custom, bespoke creators as well. There's so much more to the watch world that at first blush is not available to you, just simply through the fact that you don't know that they exist. So it's important to shine lights on all these different sectors so that folks can discover. The famous saying is, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps out massively. I do have one more question before we wrap up. Having gained so much experience over the years working with people from basically all walks of life, you've seen so much, Kelly. You've heard every reason under the sun: birthdays, promotions, anniversary, to the simple, you know what? This watch stole my heart. It's a random Tuesday, so you know what? I'm going to treat myself. Basically, what I'm getting at is, I'm sure you've noticed recurring decisions and patterns over time. You've seen it all. So with that, I'd like to kind of tie it back to folks that are just getting into the industry. What I'd like to ask you is, what advice would you give 3 different people that are at 3 different chapters within their watch collecting journey? And the three examples that I could come up with is the year one collector. Let's not even call them a collector. The year one person, the year three person, and then the year seven person. Let's start with the year one. And again, it's a journey, but you've seen so many different aspects of this world, and I'm sure you have some advice that you can impart. Year one person.
Year one person, I would literally say to them, when you put something on your wrist and you look down at your wrist, does it make you smile?
Full stop. End of story.
Full stop. End of story. Do you look at that watch and go, man, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I really like looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Year one.
That's it.
That's it. Does it make you smile?
Which, again, we live in a world of social media with so many different channels of information bombarding you. And sometimes it's really difficult to differentiate between, do I really like this thing? Or do I like it because everyone likes it and I kind of want to put something on my wrist that other people will go, oh, you're a watch person. And that delineation is becoming increasingly difficult to make given all the information that's bombarding us.
Correct.
So that's great advice. So year one, don't succumb essentially to the assault that is, this is the cool stuff. Focus on putting it on your wrist and seeing if your heart sings.
Yes.
Splendid. What about year three?
Year three, I would say, do you find yourself wearing your watch for an actual purpose, or is it an accessory? Do you like to have you found yourself missing something? Like, I'd like to time this, or I would like to, I like a mechanical watch, but I don't really like to wind it. So, you know what I mean? Like, is there a power reserve like that I could, like what other functions in your life, you know what I mean? Like, would you be using a watch for, or are you still at day one and you're simply looking for aesthetics?
This is the phase where you're kind of getting to know your likes and dislikes. What are you enjoying? What's not something that you really like to do? And really stepping back and kind of looking at what you've accrued so far and what do you want to pursue? What do you like more of? And what are you okay with perhaps saying this aspect, this portion, this feature, this function, this complication, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that'll help you sort of narrow down your, let's say, options, right? Sometimes it's not, when the sky is blue and you have all the options, that doesn't help you. And you should potentially start with what you don't like, because that'll start narrowing down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Year seven, you've been doing this for a while. What advice do you have?
I would actually say, let's look at your box of watches. Let's look at what you've purchased. What are you missing? Do you find yourself missing a time only dress watch? Do you find yourself missing a really you have the kids out on a Saturday and you don't want to ruin the Jaeger that you purchased, or you don't want, like, do you just need something uber casual? You know what I mean? Like, and what have you made the mistakes with? And let's get rid of those. Let's talk about, like, how you want to move forward. What's your goal? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Like, let's think about, like, I see that you like chronographs. Okay. So do you want to like continue on doing that, or like, or what are you missing? Like, what do you, I see that you're buying all blue dials. I think if my husband buys another blue dial, I think I might kill myself. Like, he literally loves blue, loves it. I'm like, can we actually buy something for you that is not blue? And he's like, that'd be a great idea. Okay. All right. Okay. And when he came to me the other day and said he was thinking about get this, a Tudor 1926, I was like, I love that.
Whoa.
I'm like, that's the most bizarre ask I have ever been asked. I'm like, I love that. I'm like, I love that for you. It makes sense for you. 100%. tell me which one. He gave me the style number. He's like, Kelly, I love this. My husband doesn't come to me for watches. He never comes to me. So when he does, I have to race out and buy it because like I'm so excited that I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I think, so like, it's like one of those things where he said he likes something, so I have to buy it. Like, I kind of know where a guy is with his wife who doesn't like watches at all. And then she comes with a picture and she's like, this is really nice. And then he's like, oh my God, Kelly, somebody, I'm like, I know. I'm like, let's do it. So yeah, at year 7 though, I mean, reverting back at year 7, it's like, again, like, how do you want to move on? Like, are we focusing on, honing it in on a couple of brands? Do you want to continue to be multi-branded? Do you like blue? Like, for every person, it's like, I think it's almost like different. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know the client that's sitting in front of you. And if they've been with you for 7 years, then you already know. But, this really opens up the questions, and grilling, and nicely in the person in front of you and saying, like, tell me about everything in your collection. And as they start to go on, you yourself, if you're any good, you're thinking of all the brands that you can sort of fill in with, or at least suggest, So yeah, I mean, but reverting back to the first the first time watch buyer, it should be that way every time. It should put it on your wrist. Does it really make you happy every time you look down at your wrist? I love when people are like, what's your opinion? I'm like, I'm not wearing it.
Yeah.
You have to be the one that looks down and says, that's awesome. Like, I enjoy looking at it every day.
I think when you have so much experience and so much knowledge, when folks approach you with what is your opinion, the auto response that I want to give in my sort of areas of expertise that I feel passionate and am somewhat knowledgeable about is I can tell you all the things, but then you have to decide if those things or which of those things actually matter to you. It might be all of them. It might be none of them.
Same.
But I can't tell you because I am me and you are you.
Yep.
Some people like pineapple on their pizza. Other people despise it.
They should be.
Oh my God. It belongs.
Sorry. If I've offended everybody, that's how I feel.
This is Kelly. This is Kelly.
She draws a line. Okay. We're done joking around. I'm
drawing that line right now. I'll tell you that right now. We cannot even discuss it.
I'm just imagining now somebody showing up with a large pizza that has pineapple on it, and they're like taking the pineapple off, and they're like, I'm doing this for you. Just throw it on the floor. I'll throw it on the floor.
I literally will just throw it on the floor.
Get this out of my face. How dare you? Yep. Have you not listened to the podcast? You know me.
She says it in every interview. Everyone knows. It's strong opinion. Always.
It's in Kelly's writer. It's in her writer. Like, she can't. It's unacceptable.
Like, literally cut it out. Like, stop it. Okay. That's not acceptable.
Wait, important question though. The 1926, did you go with the white dial?
White dial.
Gorgeous.
Very,
I was like, I don't
nice.
think they make a blue dial 1926. Like, I think there's like black and white and some rose gold, but
he and my husband, because it's not something that he is super, super passionate about. He likes watches. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's in our household. You know what I mean? So it's, and so it's hilarious because he literally sat down and Googled white dial watches. And I'm like, yes,
that's amazing.
Good for you.
That's amazing.
And then what he did was to hone it in. He then went to every brand that he's passionate about. He loves Tudor. He loves IWC because he has an aviation background as well.
Nice.
So Tudor, Breitling, IWC, and there's one more I can't think of it right now, but he went to the brands that he loved. And I'm like, this is the way to do it.
Dang.
This is the way to do it.
Just
simple as that.
You were just so proud, I bet. You were just beaming.
When he came to me with the picture, I'm like, what? I'm like, no way. And it was like, what, you don't like that? I'm like, no, I love that. I love the fact that you picked something so again, our household is about that. Like, what does everybody else love? Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. Like, we want, yeah.
I love it. So it's so good. The 1926, so good.
It It is white tile.
Well, good for him. Congratulations. And it's funny how you are quite literally the expert, but he decided to do it on his own and then approach you with, and here's what I've come up with. Thoughts?
100%.
I love it. Well, you've done it, Kelly. We've asked you a ton of questions and you survived a podcast episode with us. As a thank you, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to talk about something that you feel passionate about or something you like to shine a light on. This could be anything from a local nonprofit to a great movie you just watched and you just can't stop thinking about, to a book you would recommend to anyone and everyone, or a cause that you'd want more people to learn about. The floor is yours.
So, when I started with Watches of Switzerland, I was really into the brands that gave back.
Mhm.
And brands that were really associated with unbelievably awesome causes. And I wound up buying a Ulysse Nardin for my 50th birthday because I had the opportunity to meet the organization that they deal with, and it's called One More Wave. And this organization gives people that have come back from the military at war or time in the military and may have had some sort of trauma. They lost a limb, they have post-traumatic stress, and they find solace in the ocean. So this particular organization builds surfboards for people that are missing limbs,
Wow.
or have even if they have all of their limbs, but they have some real post-traumatic stress, and they are teaching people to find peace within themselves, with going to the ocean, learning how to surf, being in the water. And so this organization means a lot to me. I've donated to this organization. I've helped them raise money. I am a person that finds solace in water.
Hmm.
So moving to Florida and being close to water means a lot to me.
Hmm.
So we all have our thing, we all have our thing. I would also give all my money to animals. I love rescue. I love dogs. I love cats. I love anybody that's doing justice for an animal. But this organization, One More Wave, is very important to me. And it's very important to the gentlemen and the women that come back that sacrifice their lives for our country and literally sacrificed part of themselves.
That's wonderful and a beautiful sentiment. And of course, I'll include all the links so folks can learn more about One More Wave. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing. What's the best way for people to reach out to you should they have any more questions?
So Instagram, I'm still very alive with Instagram. And so my Instagram handle is Kelly_Yoch. And as far as if you had a business question, if there was jewelry or if there, was a Cartier or a Patek you had a question about, my email address is kelly@altierjewelers.com.
Perfect. Thank you. That'll be on screen as well as in the body of the podcast, the YouTube video, and all the things. So people reach out to Kelly if you have questions. Kelly, did you have fun? And would you do this again with us in the future?
I open any conversation. I love talking. Obviously, and I love being very enthusiastic about what I do. I love sharing. So absolutely. Yeah.
Perfection. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, you've been an absolute joy to speak with. Thank you for spending some time with us. Time is very precious, and so we appreciate it. And thanks for helping us better understand your world and some of the work that you do. Connor, anything before we wrap up?
I mean, just it was awesome talking to you and hearing your perspective on everything. Really appreciate it. It's very inspiring me that you still have so much passion and that it's very reassuring to know that someone who is like top of this game in so many ways leads with honesty and like that's the again motivation, but also like I would probably speculate to say the reason for so much of your success is people trust you and they like you and it's just really reassuring to know that like okay cool that's what it takes to be really, really good is to lead in a way that is an exemplar for like all forms of life and existence, but also this one, which, you know, is a complicated world to be in at times. So really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you guys as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Timist Podcast Series. Once again, a huge thanks to our incredible guest, Kelly, and of course to all of you for tuning in. Until next time. That concludes this episode of the Timist Podcast Series. A sincere thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, then please push all the buttons that will help you hear more of us in the future. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can either drop a comment on the associated YouTube video or reach out to me on Instagram at TheTimistIG. Thanks for listening. I'm The Timist. Be well, and I'll catch you in the next one.